You are lying in a comfortable bed, the weight of the day slowly lifting from your shoulders. The world outside is quiet, and inside this room, there is only the soft sound of your own breathing and the gentle rhythm of a story about to unfold. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let your mind drift to a world that hums with life. A world where tiny creatures, no larger than the tip of your finger, carry the weight of entire ecosystems on their delicate wings. Imagine for a moment the sound of a summer garden, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the vibrant colors of flowers swaying gently in the breeze, and the soft, constant hum that fills the air. That hum is the sound of bees, and it has been the soundtrack of human civilization for thousands of years. But what if tomorrow, that sound simply stopped? What if you woke up to a world of profound silence, where the flowers stood still, the orchards grew bare, and the very foundation of our food system began to crumble? Tonight, we will take you on a gentle journey through history, science, and imagination to explore the astonishing, intricate, and beautiful relationship between humans and bees. Honestly, making these videos takes a ton of work, but it's worth it because of this community. If you enjoyed hanging out with me today, drop a like to let me know. If you haven't already, subscribe so you don't lose track of this journey. And listen, if this made you laugh or think, send this to a friend who needs a pick-me-up today. The more, the merrier. We will wander through ancient forests, stand beside medieval beekeepers, walk through bustling Victorian markets, and peer into a future that hangs in the balance. But do not worry, there is no fear here. Only wonder, knowledge, and the quiet appreciation for a creature so small, yet so mighty. So let your body sink deeper into the mattress, let your mind soften, and allow yourself to be carried away into a story of flowers, honey, and the gentle heroes of the natural world. The bee is an ancient creature, a master of evolution that has been perfecting its craft for over 100 million years. Long before humans stood upright, long before our ancestors learned to shape stone or tame fire, bees were dancing in the sunlight, visiting flowers, and doing the vital work of pollination. When you think about it, this is a staggering thought. While dinosaurs roamed the earth, bees were already forming complex societies, communicating through intricate dances and building waxen structures of mathematical perfection. You can almost picture it, a world of towering ferns, humid forests, and massive reptiles, with tiny bees flitting among the blossoms, utterly unaware of the future that awaited them. The first bees were different from the ones you see today. They were solitary creatures, each female building her own nest and raising her own young. But over millions of years, something remarkable happened. Some species began to live together, sharing the work of gathering food, caring for offspring, and building a home. This was the birth of eusociality, a form of organized living that would eventually give us the highly sophisticated honeybee colonies we know today. The honeybee, Apis mellifera, is just one of over 20,000 known species of bees, but it has become the most celebrated, the most studied, and the most economically important. It is this creature, this gentle insect with its golden stripes and its quiet determination, that has woven itself into the very fabric of human history. Let us step back in time now to a world where the relationship between humans and bees began. Picture a cave in what is now Spain, deep within the ancient landscape. On the walls of this cave, painted by hands that lived over 8,000 years ago, there is a remarkable image. It shows a human figure, arms outstretched, climbing a precarious rope ladder towards a cliffside nest. The nest is full of bees, and the figure is reaching for the honey. This is one of the oldest known depictions of honey hunting, a dangerous and daring practice that our ancestors undertook for the sweetest treasure nature had to offer. Imagine the thrill of that moment, the sweet reward after a perilous climb, the taste of wild honey, a flavor unlike anything else in the natural world. Honey was more than a food source to our ancestors. It was a medicine, a preservative, a currency, and a sacred offering to the gods. The ancient Egyptians revered bees, associating them with the sun god Ra and using honey in rituals and embalming. Imagine the temples of Thebes, filled with priests tending sacred hives, the golden liquid flowing into ceremonial vessels. The Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, and the Romans all valued honey highly. In Greek mythology, the bee was a symbol of divine inspiration. The philosopher Plato believed that the souls of poets were reborn as bees, their voices forever humming with the sweetness of creative truth. and the Romans, with their genius for empire and agriculture, developed sophisticated methods of beekeeping. The writer Varro, in his works on farming, described how to keep bees, how to choose the right location for hives, and how to harvest honey without harming the colony. The ancient world, in all its splendor and complexity, was a world that understood the bee's importance. But they could not have imagined the scale of the modern world's dependence on this tiny insect. Let us move forward now through the centuries and watch how the bee became intertwined with the story of human civilization. In medieval Europe, honey was the sweetener of choice, used in everything from mead to cakes, from medicine to religious ceremonies. Imagine a bustling medieval kitchen, the hearth crackling with fire, servants stirring pots, and the heady scent of honey wafting through the air. Beekeeping was a vital skill passed down through generations. Bees were also believed to be messengers from the spirit world. There were tales of bees carrying messages to the dead, of hives that moan when their keepers passed away. These were creatures of wonder and mystery, living in their own complex societies within the walls of a simple wooden hive. As you drift deeper into the story, imagine walking through a medieval garden, carefully planned by monks who valued not just the practical uses of plants, but also their medicinal properties. The monks were dedicated beekeepers, understanding that the health of their bees was directly linked to the health of their crops and the well-being of their community. They built wicker hives and used smoke to calm the insects, an art that has changed little in centuries. The bee's symbolism was everywhere, from the golden bees embroidered on royal robes to the images of hives carved into cathedral stone. It was a reminder of the divine order of creation, a small but perfect reflection of a well-ordered society. And as you listen, you can almost hear the soft buzzing of those medieval bees, the gentle hum that filled the cloisters and gardens of Europe. Now let us take another leap to the age of exploration and empire. The European honeybee was a traveler, and it journeyed across oceans in the holds of ships, carried to new lands by colonists who sought to recreate the familiar farms of their homelands. In the early 1600s, the first honeybees arrived in North America, brought by English settlers. Imagine those early colonists, tired and hopeful, watching their precious cargo of bees take flight in the Virginia wilderness. The bees quickly adapted to their new home, spreading across the continent, pollinating native plants and providing honey. For the Native Americans, who had their own native bees and pollinators, the arrival of the European honeybee was a curious development. They soon called it the white man's fly, and they came to value the honey it produced. And there is a magical thought, the idea of bees crossing oceans, settling in new lands, building new hives, and carrying with them the echoes of the old world. By the 19th century, beekeeping had become a science, thanks in large part to the work of a remarkable man named Lorenzo Langstroth. Langstroth, an American pastor and beekeeper, studied the intricacies of the hive more carefully than anyone before him. He discovered the concept of bee space, a specific gap between frames that bees would not seal with wax, allowing beekeepers to remove frames and harvest honey without destroying the colony. This simple but brilliant insight revolutionized beekeeping. Suddenly, bees could be kept in movable frames, hives could be managed more effectively, and honey production soared. Imagine the excitement in the beekeeping community, the sense of discovery, the quiet thrill of a man unlocking a secret that had been hidden for millions of years. Langstroth's design remains the basis for modern beehives, a testament to the enduring power of curiosity and observation. As we move into the modern era, the story of the bee becomes one of science and industry. In the 20th century, agriculture underwent a transformation unlike any before. The tractor replaced the plow, chemical fertilizers enriched the soil, and pesticides protected crops from pests. But with these changes came a new understanding of the bee's role. Farmers realized that many of the crops they depended on, from almonds to apples, from blueberries to cucumbers, required pollination. Without bees, these plants would not produce fruit, and so the commercial beekeeping industry was born. Imagine vast fields of almond trees in California, stretching as far as the eye can see, covered in clouds of fragrant pink and white blossoms. But these are silent without the bees. During the almond season, beekeepers from across the United States load their hives onto massive trucks and drive thousands of miles to California. It is the largest pollination event in the world, a migration of insects that rivals the great animal migrations of the Serengeti. Billions of bees, packed into millions of hives, are placed in the orchards, and for a few brief weeks, they work tirelessly, visiting every blossom, ensuring that the almonds will grow. It is a spectacle of nature and industry combined, a breathtaking dance of logistics and biology. And as you listen, let yourself imagine the view from above, a patchwork quilt of green and brown, dotted with the white boxes of the hives and the tiny golden specks of the bees as they go about their ancient work. But in recent decades, a shadow has fallen over the world of bees. Scientists began to notice something alarming. Bees were disappearing. Hives that had been healthy and strong were suddenly empty, the bees simply gone, leaving behind only the queen and a few young workers. This phenomenon, called colony collapse disorder, first made headlines in 2006, but it had been building for years. The causes are complex and deeply troubling. Pesticides, particularly a class of chemicals called neonicotinoids, were found to harm bees' nervous systems, affecting their ability to navigate and forage. Habitat loss reduced the diversity of flowers available for bees to feed on. Climate change disrupted the timing of blooming seasons, making it harder for bees to find food. And parasites, like the varroa mite, spread through colonies, weakening and killing them. The implications of this are profound. If the bees disappear, the pollination services they provide, worth billions of dollars annually, would vanish. Almonds would disappear from our grocery stores. Apples would become a rarity. Blueberries, strawberries, avocados, cucumbers, and countless other fruits and vegetables would decline in supply and skyrocket in price. The ripple effects would be felt throughout the entire food chain. Without bees to pollinate plants, the plants would not produce seeds or fruit. The animals that eat those plants would lose their food sources, and the humans, at the top of the food chain, would face a world of scarcity and malnutrition. The fragility of this system, built on the tiny wings of a bee, is a humbling thought. But the picture is not entirely bleak. All over the world, people are working to save the bees. Farmers are planting wildflowers and reducing their use of harmful pesticides. Gardeners are filling their yards with bee-friendly plants, from lavender to sunflowers. Scientists are studying the genetics of bees, searching for ways to breed more resilient colonies. And beekeepers, passionate and dedicated, continue to care for their hives, sharing their knowledge and inspiring others. Imagine a community garden in a bustling city, a patch of green in a sea of concrete. Children are planting seeds, learning about the life cycle of plants and the importance of pollinators. Their parents are building bug hotels, creating safe havens for solitary bees. This is a quiet revolution, a movement of millions of small acts that together can make a difference. The bees' survival is tied to our own, and the choices we make today will determine the future of both. Now, as the night deepens and your mind drifts further into a state of calm relaxation, let us imagine together what a world without bees might look like. But let us do it gently, without alarm, as a quiet meditation on the beauty of what we would lose. Step into a grocery store in a world without bees. The produce section is a shadow of its former self. The shelves are filled with grains and processed foods, but the vibrant colors of fresh fruit and vegetables are largely absent. Almond milk is no longer available. Avocado toast is a distant memory. The price of blueberries has soared, making them a luxury few can afford. The people shopping in this store do not fully understand what has been lost. They have grown up in a world where the hum of the bee is just a distant memory, a sound they only hear in old recordings. There is a sadness in the air, a quiet grief for a world that was once more colorful, more flavorful, more alive. The farmers in this world are struggling. They have had to adapt, planting crops that do not need pollinators, like wheat, rice, and corn. The fields of sunflowers have been replaced by endless monocultures of grain. The wildflowers that once lined the roads are gone, replaced by weeds that spread unchecked. The landscape is quieter, grayer, and more uniform. There are no apple orchards in blossom, no cherry trees covered in pink clouds, no pumpkin patches dotted with bright orange fruits. The very seasons seem to have lost some of their meaning. Now let us walk through a forest in this world without bees. The canopy is still there, the tall trees stretching towards the sky, but the understory is bare. The ferns and mosses remain, but the flowering plants that once carpeted the forest floor are gone. The animals that relied on those plants have declined. The birds that feed on berries have vanished. The insects that evolved alongside the bees have struggled to adapt. The silence of the forest is profound. No birdsong, no rustling of small mammals, no buzzing of insects. It is a beautiful but empty place, a landscape that has lost its soul. There is a theory that the extinction of the dinosaurs allowed mammals to flourish. In a similar way, the decline of bees could lead to a cascade of extinctions, a reshaping of the natural world that we cannot fully predict. What would take the place of the flowers? What would fill the niche of the bee? Perhaps other insects would evolve to take on the role, but that process would take millions of years. In the meantime, the world would be a quieter, less diverse, and more fragile place. It is a thought that fills us with a gentle sense of loss, a longing for the world as it could be, a world where bees continue to dance in the sunlight, carrying life from flower to flower. But let us also reflect on the resilience of nature and the creativity of humans. In a world without bees, people would not simply give up. They would find new ways to pollinate crops. Imagine robots, tiny mechanical bees, designed to carry pollen from one flower to another. They would be a marvel of engineering, programmed to mimic the movements of real bees. But they would be soulless, silent, and utterly dependent on human maintenance. They would not dance, they would not communicate, they would not be part of a thriving, buzzing community. It is a poignant image, a world where humans have solved the problem but lost the magic. Or consider the possibility of hand pollination, a labor-intensive process where farmers use paintbrushes and other tools to manually transfer pollen. It would be slow, costly, and inefficient. The cost of food would soar, and the world would become a more unequal place, where the wealthy could afford fresh produce and the poor would subsist on processed grains. It is a vision of the future that is not dystopian in a dramatic sense, but quietly, gently tragic. And yet, the story of the bee is also a story of hope. For every piece of bad news, there is a story of success, of a community coming together to protect its pollinators, of a scientist making a breakthrough, of a beekeeper who refuses to give up. There is a growing awareness of the importance of pollinators, driven in part by media coverage of colony collapse disorder and the tireless efforts of environmental advocates. The European Union has banned the most harmful pesticides, and other countries are following suit. Cities around the world are creating bee-friendly habitats, planting pollinator gardens on rooftops, and promoting urban beekeeping. This is a movement that is global in scale, a recognition that the fate of the bee is tied to the fate of humanity. It is a comforting thought, the image of a world where people are acting not out of fear, but out of care and foresight. The bee's story is a mirror, reflecting our own dependence on the natural world and our capacity for both destruction and creation. It is a story that invites us to be better, to live more gently on the earth, and to appreciate the small, beautiful things that sustain us. Now, as you feel the weight of sleep settling upon you, let your mind wander to a peaceful place. Picture a meadow in the height of summer, the sun warm on your face, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of clover and wild roses. There are bees here, hundreds of them, visiting each flower with patient, unhurried grace. They are not aware of you, and you are not aware of them, but you are sharing this moment, this perfect slice of time. The hum of their wings is a gentle lullaby, a sound that has been heard on this earth for millions of years. It is the sound of life, of connection, of the delicate web that binds all living things together. The flowers are bright and abundant, a riot of color against the green grass. The insects dance in the warm air. The world feels complete, whole, and utterly beautiful. There is no threat here, no fear, only the quiet certainty that this is how things should be. This is a world where the bees have not disappeared, where they continue their ancient work, not out of duty, but out of joy. It is a world of abundance, where the grocery stores are full of fresh fruits and vegetables, where the almond trees blossom every spring, where the sound of the bee is a constant, comforting presence. Let us reflect, in these final moments, on the simple pleasures that bees bring into our lives. A spoonful of honey, golden and sweet, is not just a taste. It is history, it is nature, it is the work of 100,000 tiny tongues. A single jar of honey represents the collective effort of a colony of bees, visiting millions of flowers over thousands of miles. Think about that as you watch the honey drip from the spoon, the sunlight catching it, turning it into a liquid amber gem. The flowers in your garden, the roses, the lavender, the marigolds, they are there because of bees. Without them, the garden would be quieter, less colorful, less alive. The fruits of the orchard, the crisp apples, the juicy pears, the sweet cherries, they are gifts from the bees. Every time you take a bite of an apple, you are tasting a tiny piece of the bees' labor, a labor that has been happening for countless generations. It is a humbling thought, a reminder that we are part of something larger, a world of intricate and beautiful connections. As this story draws to a close, let us hold on to the image of the bee, not as a symbol of decline or disaster, but as a symbol of hope, industry, and community. The bee has survived ice ages, mass extinctions, and the rise and fall of civilizations. It has adapted and thrived, always returning to its work, always dancing in the sunlight. The future of the bee is not yet written. It is a story that we are writing together. Every time we plant a flower, choose organic produce, or support a local beekeeper, it is a story that will continue for generations to come, a story of resilience and beauty. And as you drift further into the gentle embrace of sleep, let the hum of the bee guide you, the soft buzzing that has accompanied humanity since the dawn of our existence. It is the sound of nature's work, of life's persistence, of the quiet miracle that is the bee. Sleep well, dear listener, in a world that still hums with life, a world where the flowers bloom, the honey flows, and the bees carry on their eternal dance. Good night.